Hello and welcome to the Mighty 90s, a movie podcast. I'm Simon and I'm so honored and happy to introduce our guest for this evening. This is someone who has had and continues to have an amazing career in film and television, a career spanning over 50 years with his first acting credit in 1974. So many credits along the way, including projects such as Little House on the Prairie, Starsky and Hutch, Heathers, over 200 episodes of JAG as part of 68 total acting credits. Not only that, he is an accomplished writer and producer. He created the show See Dad Run, which ran for 3 seasons, and now he has his own podcast, which we'll talk about later. But in the 90s, and in my childhood specifically, he was a major part in one of my favorite movies of all time, playing Fester in 1992's Three Ninjas. It's Patrick Labyorteaux. Patrick, thank you so much for being here. This is an absolute honor. Childhood Simon cannot believe what is happening right now. Adult Simon is living it. Thank you, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Simon. I appreciate it.
Well, I kind of just want to just take it from the beginning. You have such a storied and amazing career, and so in some ways I almost feel like is it disrespectful to spend this much time talking about Three Ninjas? But because I assume in like the sort of landscape of everything, it's not probably up there critically with the things that you've done. But it's so beloved by me and so many other people. Are you surprised that it still has that longevity to this day? And could you also tell us like how you actually ended up getting the role?
First of all, I'm not surprised at all. I think it's a really awesome movie. I really like doing it. I really like the way it came out. Obviously, we're in the same boat as far as that goes. I think it's super successful. How I got it was a straight up audition for a movie called Ninja Kids. And it was exactly what it ended up being. The script I read was pitched as, Home Alone meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's what it was. And, my buddies, the surfer guys were kind of, I don't know how it was developed, but it absolutely was, we were the Wet Bandits. We were that sequence of the Home Alone sequence of the movie. Ask me later about John Turteltaub because he's awesome. But when I auditioned, it was because of my credits before. It was just straight to the producer, which was straight to the director, which was John Turteltaub. And so I read with John, and it was, I got the part, and that was how it happened. The funny thing was on the first day of shooting, I got to the location, and in the honey wagon, the little trailers where you get dressed, I was getting dressed, and I was coming out of my trailer or my room, and I see a fellow actor there, and I go, "Hey, I'm Patrick." He introduces himself, and I say, "Which part are you playing?" And he says, "I'm playing Fester." And I'm like, "Oh, I thought," he goes, "I'm John's friend. I'm playing Fester." Like, I thought I was playing Fester. And he goes, "No, I'm playing Fester." And I go, "Oh, well, I got to really learn whatever dialogue. Well, who am I supposed to be playing?" So we went to John, and John said, no, Patrick's playing Fester. And this unnamed actor, because he's a friend of John's, says, "Well, forget this. I'm out. I'm not doing it if I can't play Fester." I get it, but it's just sort of like you're leaving your buddy in a lurch. I don't know what the whole deal was. I don't know why he didn't know who he was playing. It's not a typical thing. If you're hitting the set, you know who you're playing. And so we didn't have a hammer, because he was supposed to play Hammer. He was supposed to play, the talking other surfer dude. And I said, "Look, my brother's an actor. We can get him down here." And it was our second assistant cameraman who said, "I think I can do it." And everyone was like, "Do what?" And they go, "I can do the part." And that was, not Race, but DJ Harder. And they said, "Okay, well, let's shoot it." And the stuff that we were shooting the first day was the stuff in the Korean grocery store where we're like, "No, none of that green stuff." and we take, we hold the guy up. And they said, well, we'll shoot everything so that we can replace this guy, but we'll use DJ as our kind of placeholder, other surfer. And obviously DJ was just so good. He was so good. He has a great look. He had the long hair. He looked perfect. And so that's how that happened. But it was the only time I've ever hit set and had that type of experience with another actor where they were like, I'm doing your part.
I love that. What a great story. And I've been talking to DJ, for no joke, for about 3 or 4 years, trying to organize an interview like this. We've been working it out. It's just trying to get the dates.
You have to give me his information. I don't have any current information. I would love to get in contact with him.
Oh, I will. Definitely. That would be awesome.
And then I'll pimp out this podcast. He'll do
it. Seeing you two converse today would be amazing. Did you have any reservations about being like an antagonist in a kid's movie, or you were totally down for it?
Oh, I was totally down for it. Look, I've kind of always been surprised at how actors act superior to their roles, or like, oh, I won't do that, or I won't do television, or I won't do blank. I'll do anything, because the idea is that I get to try things that are different. I mean, I loved Three Ninjas for that exact reason. I mean, Fester's this total guy who's completely different. He talks different than me, but he's like, I love him because he's stupid, but he's also the planner of the group. And it's like, I'm not getting to play that character with that accent on, I don't know, 2.5 Men. It's not like it's going to happen anywhere else, but in a movie like that. And John told me this really great thing, where the characters of the surfers, you have to be very specific about them being dangerous and a villain without ever feeling that the kids are physically in danger. Right? I mentioned in one of my videos, at one point I'm holding 3 different guns on 2 of these kids. I've got 3 guns in my hands. And, it's like nowadays, I don't know if any or antagonist would be able to hold any weapon against a child. I was holding a gun to a girl's head, which, again, it was different back then. And it was fine. It was fine because it's a comedy. It's not like a very, very easy. It is really easy, actually, to like know that this is not really scary, but it's funny. As far as playing different parts and as far as doing that, I thought this was a great departure, and it's so easy to read and understand. Okay, so you're the bad guy in a kid's movie. What was so exciting about it was we did this whole movie as an independent movie before anyone knew that Disney was going to pick it up. So it was just a low budget movie, which is not to shame anyone. It was just like we did it on a hope and a prayer. And I say that like I'm in the producing area. I'm not. I'm just an actor. But it was like it was not like, this is going to be the next big thing. And then Disney picked it up. And I'm sure because you know the movie and you've done this podcast, it was the most profitable film of that year, which means like, how much did you make the movie for? How much did it make? It didn't make more than, all the other movies, but it made the most profit. And so that's why you got, all the other sequels. But yeah, just as a movie itself, I think you can't stress enough how important John Turteltaub was to the process. As a director, what I love about John is we would have conversations as though we were the age of the kids, not play acting, but like when we came in, my whole idea of Fester was that he was just a kid himself, right? And so the first time I saw the room, when he brought us into the kids' room, I turned to John, I go, oh, cool room. And he goes, okay, we're keeping that. We'll keep that line. That's a good line. And it was that attitude with John that allowed for a lot of fun creativity I came to him and I pitched him the line, first we feast, then we felony. And he laughs and he goes, "That's the dumbest line I've ever heard. We're keeping it." The bit where we're hiding behind one palm frond, like they can't see us. I had found this palm frond on the set, and I'd gone over to my DJ and race, and I held this thing up in front of my face, and obviously I'm there. It's like just one palm frond. I go, "Dude, can you see me?" And DJ, who's hysterical, he goes, "Dude, where'd you go?" And we were goofing. It was just like a goof. And so then we went over to John and we all hid behind it and we go, and we were giggling. It was just like from the movie. We go, "Bet you can't see us." And he goes, "Okay, that's ridiculous. We're keeping that." And so it was like that type of interaction. And on John's part, he was always suggesting, like, when I see the tin can with the string going from house to house, he goes, "I don't know, just say something like, calling all cars," which from our childhood was what we would hear cops on cop shows say. And so it was like he was in that same mindset of like, what do kids think like? And so I think that John, as much as anyone else, is one of the reasons why it distinguishes itself from the other movies for sure, but also makes it so like relatable because it was just made by a bunch of idiot kids.
Well, that's again, and what an amazing answer, and it's so true because so I'm talking to you here from the UK, and when I was a child and found the film, I it was so relatable, and I think children identified and wanted to be the Three Ninja Kids, like wanted to be, Rocky, Colt, Tum Tum, whichever one fitted. Actually, my dad told this story at my wedding, which was that there was a time when I must probably like 6-7 years old where I refused to come downstairs for dinner unless they called me Rocky. Like I wouldn't answer unless they called me that. But I think I'm not the only child that had that association. And I think, like you said, the treading the tightrope, the balance of the antagonist surfer dudes are threatening, but the children ever feel in danger. Like that's so true. We had Kate Sargent on, who played Emily, so the girl you're talking about, and she said that was like her favorite thing, doing that like stunt choreography and everything. Like she was really proud of doing those scenes and so proud of the movie. And she's gone on to be like a really successful writer as well. And so it's so interesting. And like you said, the budget of the movie was $2.5 million, and it made $29 million back, which is amazing. It's so good. And I even heard the statistic that when they did a release on DVD, I'm guessing this is like somewhere in the early 2000s, the year it came out, the Three Ninjas DVD outsold the Karate Kid, which is crazy. Because that's Karate Kid is a massive movie as well in its own right. So, what amazing longevity. And you mentioned the comparisons between Home Alone and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So was it presented to you like that? And then with that being said, did you feel did you have like any high hopes that maybe this could take off because like those two movies were so successful, especially at that time in the early 90s?
I had no expectations. I don't know if it was before or after. I think it might have been before. I did a movie called Ghoulies 3, it's actually a pretty good movie, but it's a sequel to Ghoulies. And I'd done a movie called Terminal Entry, which is another low budget movie, which was, again, just kids at a computer. When this period was happening here in California, there was a vibrant independent movie type of production era where there were just lots of, there were blockbusters. I don't know I'm sure you had blockbusters there, but it was like you made movies to like supply video distributors so that and I thought this was going to go straight to video. I never anticipated Disney picking it up. And I have this theory that John doesn't believe in because he directed it. He wants it more to be about the movie. But my theory is that garish orange and purple color on the box made it stand out in the video store, which brought the kids to see it, which then three kid ninjas. I mean, that premise is great. But I also think that when you're a bunch of kids and you're down in the TV room, it's the one that stands out and it's the one you grab because it's so freaking bright. And the movie posters were bright. I know that it sounds ridiculous, but on a primal lizard brain level, something about it, I think, just really alerted people to that fact. It's not Karate Kid. It's, Karate Kid is great. I read for Karate Kid, didn't get it. But yeah, I mean, what you're saying is it's like, I think that there was you and I are talking about, the age of the person and the subsequent sequels, which just so you know, and so before we get there, I guess, I don't know, I've never seen, mainly because I just don't have any connection to them and they're not my, it's not like I would watch those movies if I wasn't in them. So there you go. Also, there's a secret story, which I guess this is the only place to tell. I was supposed to write the second one, and I have a whole treatment for the second one. And let me just get rid of some of this stuff here. Let's see what's going on here. I'll just pick up in a second. There we go. The conversation I had with John really informed me there, where in the second one that I wrote, which was I was talking to Martha Chang and the people that were producing the movie, they had me come in to pitch this idea. And the idea that I pitched was that the same actors would play the bad guys in the second movie, but they wouldn't be surfers. That the three of them would be Elvis impersonators with the same idea of how dangerous is an Elvis impersonator in reality, right? And so you could still have the same bad guys, but they're different guys. You still have the same protagonists. And then you have a big bad, obviously, just, that's different in a different storyline. I loved the idea. I was really excited to play an Elvis impersonator and have my Elvis, working on my Elvis thing. But it didn't work out for whatever reason. They went, a different way, and they had their own writers and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, here you go. There's this little movie that produces this, there are 4 movies if you count Three Ninjas.
Yes, I believe so. And when we had Kate on, she was telling us that she had, with Martha's permission, had like I don't know the technical terminology for it, but she was given like the green light to pitch a TV show for a Three Ninjas like reboot in current time, and she was actually going and pitching this to studios. But it was just after Cobra Kai had become a thing, and I think it was like too similar. And obviously Cobra Kai did amazing, and I love that show. But I do feel like there is a space for something like that with Three Ninjas. So I mean, who knows? They're totally different properties. I mean, the Three Ninjas is not realistic at all. You've got 3 white kids and their grandpa's full on Chinese, and so it's like, I get it. They did the best they could. Marguerite's wonderful, but it's sort of like, it's that great thing of like a bunch of kids going, okay, we're astronauts and you're this guy and you're this guy. And the sense of pretend where, these little 3 kids can have ninja powers, which is great. And have, and stop bad guys. I think that's way different than Cobra Kai. Definitely.
And so I'm in agreement. I would love to see something like that. Not only I'd love to be in it, but I'd love to see that, just because I think it's still just a great property, I guess, is to call it that.
Definitely. And there's obviously such like a fandom and people are so drawn to it. because it's like, so I mean, okay, I have a few things now. I'm a bit overexcited. So firstly, I apologize to you, Patrick, before, but for anyone looking, I have a very messy background at the moment because my house is being renovated. But I have the Three Ninjas poster like just there behind me. But if you see next to it, we've got these other posters here, and it's funny you said about Blockbuster because I actually worked in a Blockbuster when I was a student. Loved it, best job ever. But you can actually see your exact point if you look at the other posters here, which are all classic movies. But the Three Ninjas one really does stand out with its sort of, and it is quintessential '90s colors as well. So, yeah, I think you're like nail on the head with that. And then in terms
of Bowfinger down there too, which no one ever talks about. It's one of my favorite movies.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. The bit when Eddie Murphy's crossing the highway is like, it cracks me up.
Yeah.
Every single time.
You must never talk about the Laker girls.
It's so good. We covered that on the podcast recently, and yeah, it's so good to rewatch. But yeah, I honestly I agree. I think there could be a space for it, and maybe it would come under Disney Plus or something, like, because I think there's not, as in the era we're in now with animation and Pixar and all that kind of thing, there's not as many sort of family live action sort of escapism movies in the same way, and so I think it would have, maybe you could write it.
I mean, you mentioned Martha. I think one of the reasons why is I don't know if Disney owns the IP. I know they were distributor of the first movie, but I don't think they distributed the other movies because not Golden Harvest, but again, if you don't know director Sheen and his story, I told that on my channel. It's like he has this amazing story. It's this Korean filmmaker that came here, him and his wife, and they have a production company. I think that company, or a version of it, were the people behind the IP. So I'm sure that it has a lot to do with, who actually owns the Three Ninjas or Ninja Kids idea.
Okay. Well, we'll see. But maybe.
Do you know director Sheen's story?
No.
Sheen Sin-ok. So I think his name is Sheen Sin-ok, and he's labeled as Simon Sheen in the movie. He's the producer. He was a famous South Korean film director, and he was married to a famous South Korean film actress. And then they got divorced, and then the North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung kidnaps the actress and takes her back to North Korea because he loves movies, and he kidnaps her. Director Sheen goes off looking for her. They're divorced, but he's like, what the hell? Where's my ex-wife? He gets kidnapped in Hong Kong and by North Korea. They don't tell each other that they've kidnapped the other. So director Sheen gets sent to jail. He tries to escape 5 times, and they keep him in prison there for like 5 years. And then they finally release him, and they reunite him with his ex-wife, who he now understands has been in North Korea all that time. They are then forced by the Kim Il-sung and his son to make movies for, like, I don't know how long, maybe 10 years. A horrible amount of time. They're forced to make Korean movies, North Korean movies, propaganda, all that type of thing, until finally, they have a big, huge hit, and they go to Geneva to get financing for a version of Genghis Khan, their version of Genghis Khan. And while they're there, they have a real life movie chase from the lobby of their hotel in a car chase to the American embassy, where they appeal for asylum. They're granted that. They come to Hollywood. He doesn't know what else to do but make movies. His first movie, Three Ninjas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What a story.
And I didn't know any of this until I was much older, until later, because all I knew was director Sheen, and everyone really respected him as a great film director from Korea, but they never specified that it was South Korea and then North Korea and then an escape. It was just sort of like, and his wife, Sheen Sen, I don't know her proper name, but she was beautiful, and and a sweet, sweet woman.
Wait, so what was his role? Sorry, if John was directing it, what was he doing on Three
Yeah,
Ninjas?
out of respect, everyone called him Director Sheen. It was Director Sheen was like Hefe or boss, but he was the producer
Oh,
and he
okay.
owned the company that developed the property of Three Ninjas
Right. Got it.
as Ninja Kids. And so I think his company or whatever is the version of it. And then Martha Chang was the actual producer, who also is gorgeous. She produced the movie and I think spearheaded the rest of it. And of course, they have their own production team and whatnot.
Crazy. Okay, and then also crazy, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but I wasn't aware of this until I don't know about until COVID times, like 5-6 years ago. Is that there are two cuts of this movie, and now being British, I had only ever seen the international version, which is about an hour and 24 minutes, something like that, to be specific. And in that cut, the kids win the basketball game, and that's kind of puts an end to or gives a resolution to their storyline with the bullies. And there's a lot of things that are cut out and sort of made more like PG-13. And then there is the American version, which is about 10 minutes longer and has lots of other little bits in it, including some of your scenes are a bit more extended. The kids lose the basketball game. They then have a resolution fight, I guess, as the very last scene of the movie. And I hadn't seen that until like the age of, I don't know, 5 years ago. So what, like, my early 30s, where I've got like my own children now and whatever. And it was like a completely different movie. Like the grandpa kills a guy with a ninja star. I was like, was never aware of this.
I don't know this version because the version that I know of, which I guess would have to be the American version, they win the basketball game. But I don't know about I know that we were rated PG. I know that they had to colorize my shirt and jacket because we'd used a Domino's outfit. And so they colorized it here in the States as green and not red and white or whatever it is for Domino's. I didn't know anything about that other thing. That's amazing.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't speak with complete accuracy, but when Kate Sargent, who played Emily in the movie, when she was on, she was saying that. And I spoke to Behar about this when I had him on as well. He played one of the bullies, and so they had this fight scene at the end where the Rocky like beats him up and whatever, and that's kind of the resolution because he's the bully. And then in that period in the early 90s, the Rodney King incident happened, and there's like the LA riots happening, and it's an incredibly sensitive time. And so to then have a movie come out where you have at the end of the movie 3 white kids beating up a black kid is not a good look. And so they cut that part out. And when I spoke to Behar, he played the bully, who's great, and was in loads of other great movies around that time as well. He was like pissed, for lack of a better term, because he was like, that was my big moment. Like I'd worked hard to be
scene, yeah.
Yeah, but I think because of that, there's these different versions. And then also I think to international audiences or to us in Europe, perhaps they thought we were a bit more sensitive to some of the other violence. Even some of the musical cues are different. Some of the narration at the beginning is different. And so to me, it's very unsettling because, like I said to you before we started recording, I used to like travel with the VHS cassette in case when I was like watching it. I used to go to like after school care because my parents would be working, and so I'd like if I got 5 minutes, then I'm popping it in there. And unlike a DVD, the VHS days, you could it's wherever you left off last, right? If you haven't rewound it. So to me, it was very unsettling to be like, there's this whole other version that other people know. So am I right in thinking then you didn't know there were 2 versions?
I maybe something sparking in the back of my head where I think they said, I remember something about PG-13. So I think they were changing something like they changed the title. I knew it was Ninja Kids to me up until I saw the first poster. And then, or the poster, that one you got there. Um, but I didn't know that there were actively more than one cut, which is kind of fun.
They're both on YouTube, so I don't know what's going on with, like, maybe Martha needs to look at that. But there's two, both versions are on YouTube in full entirety, and both of them have millions of views. But so you can pick your cut, and you can see there's like 10-minute difference in between. So yeah,
I'll have to check that out for sure, because again, like, I am a fan of the film. I liked the movie. Um, I liked I liked everything about it. I thought it was just a really good version of that idea of a movie. And all the people, all the performers and everything. You would know better than I would. Why didn't all the kids do the rest of the movies?
Well, so two of them. Well, so the original three did the next movie. I have to also say, for complete context, when I was a kid, I didn't even know that sequels existed. So I didn't know about that until I was an adult, and so I did try to watch them, but it's like I can't watch this. It doesn't work for me now because you know. But
you're not a kid.
I'm not a kid. Yeah. But the original three did do the next movie, but they got released out of order. So I find all of this fascinating, just as like a movie geek. But they filmed the next movie back to like pretty close to when they did.
Yeah, it was happening
the first
pretty
one.
fast.
But then for some reason it got held up in like the release production or whatever. And so they'd filmed the next movie with different kids except Max Elliott Slade. So the kid that played Colt, he remained. They released that movie first. And so the two of the kids have changed. Then like 6 months later, they released the next one, which I think was straight to video with the original kids. And then I think they did one more, didn't they? They did one more with Hulk Hogan, like later down the line.
There was Three Ninjas Knuckle Up, Three Ninjas at Magic Mountain, or
that's
something,
it, yeah.
And then another one more. Wow.
Yeah, so it's got an interesting sort of history of the release of it. There was a video game like on Nintendo, but it does seem to be there's either people that only know of the first one and didn't even know other ones existed, or there are people that are like sort of diehards of the whole franchise. But can I ask you, was there anyone that you based your like surfer persona on, like specifically or anything? Or was like where did you sort of...
Spicoli, for sure. Look, as I was growing up, again, another movie I read for, which I didn't get, a friend of mine who I did a bunch of movies with, a lot of school movies. I did summer school and ski school with him, a guy by the name of Dean Cameron. He ended up playing Spicoli on the TV show here in the States of Fast Times. But Sean Penn's performance in Ridgemont High, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, was so kind of iconic for our group of actors, because he was doing a real guy that he knew. He was really doing this surfer that was like, and so at that time when I was in improv groups and comedy groups, a lot of surfers were being called out. And so that was my variation on Sean Penn's Spicoli. It's nowhere near realistic as Sean Penn's. And so when we were doing it, that's kind of what came out. So yeah, absolutely. And I'd gotten a couple of voiceover gigs because, again, it became a trope where it's like, the surfer kid is talking to the guy. I had a In-N-Out. There's a burger joint out here called In-N-Out, which, I did radio ads for, and it's like, oh my God, we're back in time. And it's like this weird, just radio ad as a surfer guy, or a door lock company that wanted a surfer. And that's all they say, surfer. And so that's kind of where the character comes from. What I would say I added to it, these are things that I loved about doing it that I don't know if anyone cares about. But there's a scene where who's Race's character? Not Hammer, the other guy, the third silent.
Let's find out. It's not in my in my mind right now.
Because
Well,
Race
that's
Nelson is the guy who played it. And again, look, Harpo Marx never said anything, and he was a Marx brother. Just because you don't have any lines doesn't mean you're not doing good acting. And Race was really, really good. And so in the scene where he does say dude, he says dude, that's the only word he says. So in the scene where we're in mom's like paint room where she's remodeling the room,
mm-hmm.
um, I came up with the idea that I pitched to John, and we went with it. And so Race goes, dude. And I go, no, there's no possible way they could be downstairs. Like, and he gave a really complicated answer. And I just loved the idea that, he could understand the other guy and that they would talk about it, things like that. And that he kind of understood him. I love playing dumb guys because dumb guys are what you see here is what is back here. There's no context and subtext. And so you can go straight for, these kids are dangerous. Like, it's like he's not plotting or planning. It's just sort of like, I'm afraid of them now. And it was, if I added anything to the surfer character, it would be that, he just wasn't a bright guy. Having said that, out of the three, he was the brightest. My backstory, because actors do backstories, was all three of these guys had their surfboards ripped off, and they were doing odd jobs to try to buy their surfboards back. And so that's why they were doing all of this stuff. And then in the backstory, the reality was that their surfboards hadn't been stolen. They just got high and didn't know where they put them, but they didn't know that yet. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, it was a great fun time just as an actor to create this silly guy that I'm so happy that people care about and know about, because I had a great time doing it. I mean, obviously.
I love it. Firstly, his character name was Marcus.
Marcus.
And I love that
None of that green stuff. Marcus, yeah.
I love that you can do the voice still so perfectly. It's so good. It's so good.
Thanks.
That you, at one point, you basically almost get like hanged, or your character does. How was that in terms of like stunt work and things, and how did you find like working with the kids?
Oh, all the kids were great. That's why I was like so bummed when I heard that they weren't all in the rest of the movies. But all of them I really enjoyed working with. Kate was really sweet. Obviously, she's the one that I had with a gun. So I had her in my arms for like days or, a couple of days. The stunts were, again, I tell on TikTok and my YouTube stories, there's a couple of stunts in this movie which were hysterical because there's a guy named Monty who was a stunt man who was doing the stunts for Hammer. And I'm 60 years old. And so he must have been 60 when he did the stunts. And he just looks like an old white guy. And he has the wig, he has his clothes on, but when he's falling down the stairs, it's like, it's not DJ. But aside from that, the stunts I thought were amazing. All the planned stunts were fine, like with the stuff with the hanging and everything. There was rigs and everything around that. And when they pulled me through the balustrade, it wasn't me. It was a stunt guy that they had got to do that. However, when working with the kids, when they were doing their ninja powers and, doing their ninja work, they beat the hell out of us, at least me, because they didn't know how to pull a punch. They didn't know how to, keep it farther away than you need to. They're kids, so it's not like they did any damage, but at the same time, it wasn't simple. And again, they're kids. It's like we're playing pretend. And, they do something, he goes, no, I really need to see you throw this, this shot at Fester. The scene where I'm fighting him and he's got the keys around Dad's tie. Mm-hmm. I think I got knocked a couple of times in the head with the keys. And that hurt. But yeah, those kids are dangerous. For sure.
So good. Did you keep any like props from it, or any like wardrobe or anything? Did you keep like any mementos?
For the longest time, I think I had the hat, the pizza hat. with the piece of pizza on it. I don't know what happened to that, but I think I had that. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if you know this or not. I'm going to throw this out just because if you don't, I don't know how you would, so you wouldn't even know to ask me. But again, low budget. When you do a loop group, it's all of the people you go in, and all the people that don't have their lines recorded, you go in and you record the lines for them. And so, like in karate movies, that's all of the karate oomphs and ouches and hiya and kia. In this movie, there's also radios. There was, television programs. There was, walkie-talkie stuff. And every single voice that you hear that's not the cast is myself, John Turtletop, and another guy by the name of Tony Alda, who is a friend of Turtletop's. Alan Alda's his brother, who's an actor as well. And we sat there one day and we did all of the karate moves. So like the karate moves, all the bad guys in it were me and Tony and John going, when they're in the kitchen and you hear the weather report and the stuff on the radio, that's all me and John. And that kind of stuff is fun, especially so funny. Actors are weird. I'm weird. I'm in the movie. You see my face. I'm a star of the movie, and I'm always excited more to hear, oh, that's me. Doesn't matter.
Well, that's great. Yeah, the little secret hidden details, and I love that you can remember and like have such great memories of this. Like that's so wonderful. I mean, I guess as like a kind of final wrapping up question. What are like your fondest memories? I mean, maybe you just shared them, but some of your fondest memories of working on the movie.
The collaboration with John and I are still friends to this day. I think he's super talented. He's very funny. The idea, because, actors always have ideas. The percentage of what I pitched John that got into the movie, and improv, like there's a bit where, we're pulled over, fender bender, and then we're pulled over, and in the script it says shut up, and I'm yelling at the kids, and the cop looks at me and I go, the kids, I'm talking to that was an improv, because in the moment, like the script just says shut up, and then that ends it. But when you're there, the cop's right there, and it looks like I was talking to the cop, and it's like, no, I'm just talking to the kids. And it's like, these are all things that directors have the right and ability to cut out, and John didn't. And I thought that was, the ability to collaborate on that was really probably my most fond memory. There's not one particular. I don't think so. Oh, probably my favorite moment was, when I throw the door open and the picture falls and then the door slams. Mm-hmm. We didn't plan that. The whole plan was for me to kick the door open and hold the gun on the girl. And I just hit it too hard and it knocked everything down. And then when I came back in, I came in holding my nose, figuring that, well, he would have been hit in the face. So when I opened it up again, so that whole moment, which made the trailer and like had all this great play, and I think is a great fun moment, certainly wasn't something that I'm taking credit for. It was absolutely an accident. Probably is one of my fondest memories that got to stay in.
Love that. I love it. And I have to say, John Turteltaub is also responsible for one of my other favorite movies in Cool Runnings. I love that so much. Yeah. We had Rudy Lewis, who's one of the bobsledders, on years ago, and so good. And he had such great things to say about him as well. But to bring it back to you, of course, I just want to say thank you on multiple levels. Thank you so much for doing this. What an honor and pleasure this has been. But also thank you for being part of something that meant so much to me and still does, in so many different ways. Like when I was a kid, there were so many times where, not like I had a great childhood, but you could have lonely times and whatever, and especially like I had to do after school care and things, and so being able to like put this movie on and kind of feel connected and feel like feeling
bring your
like
friends with you. Yeah,
exactly, like the escapism of it. And so
Star Wars is that movie to me. Every time I move to a different place, the first movie I put on is Star Wars because that's what I connected with. I was like 13. I think whatever movie you're 12 or 13 and you fall in love with stays with you the whole rest of your life.
right, exactly, yeah, perfectly put. And so so you are a massive part of that for me. So yeah, thank you, and it's been so great to be able to talk to you about it. So thank you for your time.
Hey, my pleasure, Simon. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.